Hello everyone. In this example, I want to show you classic functions, how to separate the first, the middle, and the last. Even though in the subsequent videos, I will be showing you how to use dynamic array formulas, which are clearly much simpler than this. There is a use case for learning the older ways of writing the formula. The first advantage is that these are guaranteed to work on every version of Excel. And also, it's a great way of learning the essentials. So if you want to grasp the concept of writing complex formulas, which is not just about writing these specific functions, but even otherwise, how do you construct a big formula in Excel? From a learning perspective, this is fantastic. Even though, practically speaking, I wouldn't expect you to write the formula every single time. A, because now you can do this on generative AI. And if you have the latest version of Microsoft Office, you're probably not going to use these functions, but they're important very much nevertheless. Now, because these formulas are going to be really long, I'm going to take screenshots so that as I'm explaining them to you step by step, you can also follow along and you can practice with me. Let's take the first and the middle and the last name. So they do look scary, but we'll tackle it one by one. First of all, let's remove all the answers. The first thing I want to do is to handle the first thing, which is clearly the easiest one. The first thing I want to do is to use the find function, and we want to find a space in the cell B3. So that would be the space after Aaron and before Rao. That is the character 6. And that is what we get. We get the character 6. For the next one, it would be 7. Now, we don't really want 6 because Aaron is 5 characters, correct? So we want to do a -1, and that will give us 5. And now we want to take the first 5 characters. So we use the left function, and we want to take the first 5 character, and that would give us Aaron and Justin, Craig, Catherine, and Rick. This one, to be honest, is very straightforward. We use the find function to find the position of the first space, subtract 1 because we don't want to include the space, and take those number of characters from the left. What gets more difficult is the middle name. So what we want to do here is I first want to substitute in the text B3 the character space and replace that with an asterisk. Now this means in Aaron, Rao, Bergman, since there are two spaces, both of them will be substituted with an asterisk. But that is not what we want. We only want to substitute the second space. As you can see, we have an option to put the instance number, that would be 2. And the first remains as it is, only the second one is substituted with an asterisk. Now I can find the asterisk because there's only one of them, right? And that would give us 10. So if you think about it, AARON space RAO space, that would be 10 characters, including the second space. From this, if I subtract the first space, that will give us 4. Think about it. So what we're doing here is we are taking 10 minus the position of the first space, That would be 6, and that gives us 4. But how does that help us? It does help us in a way because 4 is one more than the length of the middle name. But we will get there. Now what I want to do is to take the mid function, and in B3, where do we want to start? We want to start at the position of the first space plus 1. That means we will find a space in B3 plus 1. That would be the sixth character, AARON, and a space. Now, if I start at the sixth character and I take how many we want to take, the next 4 characters, what that means is I will get, or rather I start at the 7th position, which is R, and I want to take 4 character, it will give us RAO and a space. Let's see the result. As you can see, I get RAO. Now, do we have a space? If I use the length function, you can see here, it gives us 4. But that's easily rectifiable because here I have an extra space. I can always do a -1 and then the answer should be correct like this. Now this works perfectly. As you can see, if I change the Rao into a longer surname, you will notice it works perfectly. The challenge is going to be, what about the names that don't have a middle name? Because in that case, the formula breaks, right? Because the formula is substituting the second space with an asterisk, but there is no second space. To handle that, we will put a if error. And in case there is an error, very simply, we will say, just show us a blank. Because after all, if the person does not have a middle name, we don't want to show any result. We just want to show a blank. So we have tackled the first thing and we have tackled the middle name. Now let's come to the last name. Now the first thing I want to do is to know whether there is a middle name or not. How are we going to do that? Simple, count the number of spaces. That means if I take the entire length of B3, it is 70 from Aaron till Bergman, including the 2 spaces. But if I substitute in B3 the space, both of them, with a blank, that will give us 15. So if I do length of B3 minus the revised length, which is 17 minus 15, that will give us 2. So as you can see, whenever there is no middle name, we get one space. If there is a middle name, we get 2 spaces. Now this means that we can use a conditional statement. So if the difference between the original length and the revised length is equal to 1, then from the right, so we're going backwards. So from the right of B3, I want to take the entire length, and from the entire length, we want to do a minus find B3. Let me explain that. So what we are saying is that if the difference is 1, that means there's only one space, it's easy. For example, in the case of Justin Ritter, if I want to know the surname, Ritter, what I'll do is to look at the entire length, which will be, in this case, 13 characters. And from 13, I will reduce till the space. So 13 minus 7 will be 6. And we take 6 from the right side. But in this case, it does work for Ritter, Ritter, and Hansen, but it doesn't work because for Aaron and Catherine, the difference is not 1. The difference between the length and the revised length is more than 1. So for this part, we will again go from the right of B3. We will take the length of B3 And like we had done earlier, we will find the position of the asterisk. And where do we want to find it? After substituting in B3, the space with an asterisk, but only the second one. So if you think about it, before I press enter, what we're doing here is we are substituting the second space with an asterisk. That means after Rao and before Bergman, the space will be substituted with an asterisk. And when I find the position, it would be AARON, so that is 5, RAO, that is 6, 7, 8, 9, and the space that is the 10th character. So that means if I take the entire length of Aaron Rao Bergman and I do minus 10, that means I'm removing the part till the second space, and whatever is left is the surname. And hence we are using the right function. And as you can see, this works perfectly. Now, as I stated earlier, I would like to repeat, this is an academic problem because I don't expect you to write the formula every single time. Even if you learn it, there is no need of memorizing it, but you should understand how it works. Because later on, when you're building such complex formulas in Excel, it is very helpful to have the knack and the skill to be able to create these formulas. But I would like to remind you that now with generative AI, it can build the complete formula for you. For that matter, even explain it to you. But it doesn't hurt for you to have fundamental understanding of how to build these formulas.